Hey there, my name is Ben Martin and I'm a senior security analyst here at Sucuri. In today's video, we're going to review credit card theft malware and what you can do as an e-commerce website owner to protect yourself and your clients from this persistent online threat. So, let's start at the beginning. What is MageCart? MageCart malware is a commonly used name for malicious software that's designed to target e-commerce websites and steal sensitive payment information from online shoppers. Various MageCart groups employ different tactics and techniques, but their primary goal remains the same: to attack and compromise websites, steal credit card details, and harvest sensitive customer data to sell on the black market for a profit. The name MageCart originates from their initial target of these groups, the Magento platform, a widely used content management system that offers checkout and shopping cart features for numerous online retailers. However, attackers have since expanded their operations to target virtually every other self-hosted online e-commerce solution, including WooCommerce, OpenCart, PrestaShop, and others. So, how does MageCart work? MageCart attacks typically involve 4 phases. Number 1, attack and gain access to e-commerce websites, either through exploiting a vulnerability or security flaw in the website itself, or by attacking a third-party vendor, which is known as a supply chain attack. This allows them to plant their malware within the e-commerce environment and steal credit card details. Number 2, once the website is compromised and the malware is in place, this allows them to skim payment information from the checkout page. When a user visits a web page that contains a skimmer, the malware is executed and captures the sensitive data like credit card information, account credentials, and personal information from the web page. There are many different MageCart threat actors that employ different techniques, but their end goal is always the same. Number 3, as data is harvested from the checkout page, the stolen information is transmitted from the user's browser or the compromised website or server to a destination controlled by the attackers, either a server or website that they control, a Telegram bot, email address, or even a local destination. At this point, the attackers have successfully completed their mission, and the stolen data can be used for fraudulent purposes and sold on the black market for a profit. Initially, MageCart attacks were relatively simple to identify, but over the years, cybercriminals have since adapted their tactics by concealing malicious code through encoding and obfuscation within seemingly harmless sources, such as fake images, audio files, favicons, or even GitHub repositories. To further avoid detection, hackers often encrypt stolen data before transmitting it from the browser, thereby bypassing pattern detection systems designed to identify credit card numbers. So, what are the impacts of a MageCart malware infection? It can be very severe. Number 1, of course, is that the primary risk is to your customers who have their payment details stolen. This typically results in them needing to cancel their credit card and refund fraudulent transactions. Number 2, it can also lead to legal and compliance damages. If your website is found to be a common point of purchase for stolen credit card details, you can be on the hook for thousands of dollars in fines to Visa, MasterCard, or other payment vendors. It can also cause reputational damage to your website or company, cause you to get blocked by antivirus software or search engines, and generally cause a negative effect to your website. Moreover, these threat actors are particularly aggressive when reinfecting website environments because it is such a lucrative business for them. If your website is ever compromised with such malware, you can expect that the attackers will return, or try to, once you've dealt with the initial infection. So, let's review the different types of MageCart attacks. There's really 3 different types: client-side, server-side, and attacks that utilize both. Client-side attacks are primarily JavaScript-based, with the malware executing in the user's browser during the checkout process. This is most often achieved when attackers inject malicious JavaScript from third-party sources that they control, but also can occur by injecting malware into an otherwise legitimate JavaScript file in the e-commerce website which loads on the checkout page. Malicious JavaScript can get injected into an e-commerce website through a compromised admin user, which abuses administration features like the miscellaneous JavaScript section of the admin panel, which is normally used for things like Google Analytics scripts. Or it can also get injected through a SQL injection on a vulnerable website. On the other hand, server-side attacks are primarily PHP-based, with the malware operating in the background, invisible to the user's browser, workstation, or antivirus programs. This is achieved when the attackers modify a PHP file that is somehow involved in the back-end checkout process of the e-commerce website. So how do you detect MageCart? Detecting a MageCart infection on a website depends on the type of malware, whether it is JavaScript or PHP based. JavaScript infections can be seen in the browser most often and by some antivirus programs, whereas a PHP infection requires a server-side and file integrity monitoring to detect. Script blocker browser extensions like NoScript can be very useful to check if there's dodgy JavaScript loading from malicious or unfamiliar third-party domains on the checkout page. Other tools, such as ekfiddle, are useful for web traffic inspection to identify any malicious JavaScript injected into checkout files. For PHP-based infections, our server-side scanner is a very useful tool for monitoring malicious injections as well as file modifications which you might not recognize. Keep in mind that attackers spend a great deal of time and resources into writing new malware in order to evade detection from existing security signatures. So any unrecognized file modifications should be investigated, even if no malware or security warning is present. You cannot be too careful. So, how do you clean up a MageCart infection? MageCart malware infections can be challenging security incidents to investigate and remediate, and even seasoned professionals can sometimes struggle with identifying the source of the payload. If your e-commerce website has a known skimming attack, we highly recommend contacting professionals to assist. If you're trying to clean up an infection yourself, you can check out our step-by-step security guides at sucuri.net. Finding and removing a MageCart infection comes down to a few core concepts. You'll want to review recently modified files, inspect your checkout page for any strange behavior or JavaScript, check for any unfamiliar JavaScript injections into the database, running integrity checks on your core files or payment module files, and checking plugin, theme, or core files which do not match known good checksums. You'll want to make sure that you perform a full website backup before making any major changes to your environment. And how do you protect your e-commerce website from MageCart? These attacks on e-commerce stores can lead to severe consequences, including financial losses and damage to your company's reputation. You'll want to make sure that you regularly update your software. In particular, you'll want to install any important security patches. This is especially true for Magento. You'll want to use strong passwords and protect your administrator panels from unauthorized access by use of two-factor authentication or other access control measures. You'll want to monitor your website using tools such as our Sucuri site check monitoring, as well as server-side scanning and file integrity monitoring. You'll also want to use a website firewall such as our Sucuri firewall to help prevent attacks. And you may also want to set up a content security policy in order to be proactive. Any security policies that you implement should be configured to send alerts if any issues are detected. Our security monitoring services can help with all of these points. If you are an e-commerce website administrator, feel free to get in touch with us, and we're happy to assist with keeping your website safe and secure. And if the worst has happened, and you've already been affected by MageCart, then we can help you get rid of that as well. Thanks for watching.